Last month, DJI continued its streak of innovative products with the launch of the Osmo Pocket 3. It brings some big improvements to the Pocket 2, which was already a very popular camera. Those improvements include a new 1-inch sensor that should dramatically improve picture quality and increase low light capability. It also has a new flipping screen that automatically changes the aspect ratio, along with new tracking capabilities. Other new features include 4K 120p video, D-LogM capability, and new improved focus tracking features. While it's certainly more capable than its predecessor, it's also considerably more expensive. Still, it could do the majority of vlogging chores for many creators. So let's dive in to find out if it's worth the extra money. DJI's Osmo Pocket 3 is a portable camera that's small enough to carry with you and maneuver in tight spaces. It's stabilized by a 3-axis gimbal to make shots smooth and fluid. It can pan, tilt, and roll across a wide range of movement. At 5.5 inches long and 179 grams, it's a bit heavier but nearly as compact as its predecessor. It resembles it at first glance, but a closer look reveals some big changes. The first thing that jumps out is the 16:9 2-inch screen that has nearly 5 times the area of the Pocket 2's display. Better still, it flips sideways and automatically rotates the camera to match, so you can shoot in either landscape or portrait modes with no need to dive into settings. I wouldn't call the menu system on the Pocket 3's touchscreen intuitive, as it involves either swiping from the sides or touching icons to access functions. Without a lot of visual cues for guidance, you need to memorize all the functions. The other noticeable feature is a larger camera head that houses a 1-inch 9.4 megapixel sensor with a true 16mm diagonal size. That's nearly 3 times that of the Pocket 2's 1x1.7-inch sensor. Knowing DJI, we might see the same sensor on upcoming products like the mini drones and Osmo action cams. The fixed 20mm equivalent lens has a relatively fast f2.0 aperture. The wide focal length means it's not ideal for portraits or product shots. It does have a 2x zoom to double that, at a cost of some resolution. There are now only 2 physical buttons, record and gimbal control. The micro SD card is still on the left side, with a USB-C port on the bottom as before. Should the position of the latter be inconvenient, the included handle moves it to the side. What about the Mimo app? While its use was required previously for some functions on the Pocket 2, most things can now be done straight from the camera screen, apart from glamour and a few other settings. It's still handy for monitoring and controlling the camera remotely, of course. The Pocket 3 is available by itself or in a creator combo, along with a battery handle, mini tripod, 0.75 times lens adapter, and a carry bag. It includes the DJI Mic 2 transmitter. It pairs automatically with the Pocket 3, giving you a useful, high-quality wireless mic. DJI should be announcing the Mic 2 as a separate product in the near future. The Osmo Pocket 3's gimbal is designed to provide smooth and stable video. Operation is very much point and shoot to keep the subject in frame, as the gimbal and autofocus do the rest. It's not just the larger sensor that helps the Pocket 3 create cinematic video. The optical stabilization allows for slower shutter speeds that create natural-looking motion blur, something that's impossible on action cameras, as electronic stabilization isn't compatible with motion blur. The gimbal generally does a good job of smoothing video in scenarios ranging from cars to running to rapid panning. Without electronic stabilization though, Z-axis motion is still present, so you'll need to walk smoothly to avoid it. Like DJI's drones, the Pocket 3 has active track subject tracking. You activate it by either double tapping on the subject or selecting them in the Mimo app. From there, the head will tilt and pan to follow a subject and keep it in focus. Maybe the coolest new feature of the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 is the subject tracking mode that kicks in automatically when you switch it into selfie or vlogging mode. Once activated, it'll basically follow you around using the gimbal to swivel around and keep you in the frame, while of course automatically keeping you in focus. This feature is obviously a big benefit to vloggers, as you can essentially just set up the system on a tripod, walk around, and you don't need to have a second person or another videographer. That's particularly handy as well with the DJI mic, because you've automatically got sound, so you're pretty much ready to go with just a very simple and compact setup. Another function called dynamic framing also tracks faces, but lets you change the framing at the touch of a button. DJI also introduced a new mode called Spin Shot that rotates the camera 90 or 180 degrees to create a stylized scene. One of the biggest advantages of the Osmo Pocket 3 and the DJI Mic Combo is that it's extremely light and discreet, and at the same time it has the stabilization and face tracking, plus excellent image and audio quality. It doesn't really bother anybody. It doesn't look like a big camera in terms of making people think that you're filming them. In that sense, it is a pretty unique product in that regard. The Osmo Pocket 3 can now shoot 4K at 60 frames per second in normal mode and includes both a D-LogM mode and HLG for HDR shooting. DJI also added 4K 120p shooting via a special slow-mo mode. This is handy for high-speed scenarios, particularly when combined with camera moves. The mode doesn't support 10-bit and D-LogM modes though. Another new function is low-light video mode, designed to improve performance in dim scenes. In this setting, it's limited to 30 frames per second max, and ISO is boosted up to 16,000 compared to just 3200 in regular video mode. The hyperlapse and time-lapse settings work the same as on DJI drones, giving you a time-lapse option that's great for showing the quick passage of time. The other two modes are panorama for wide shots and, of course, photos. Image quality is outstanding for such a tiny device, with the 1-inch sensor beating almost every smartphone except for maybe Sony's Xperia 1 Pro. In normal mode, video is sharp and colors are vibrant. In photo mode, JPEGs look good straight out of the camera, but you can also shoot RAW for more flexibility in post. The D-LogM function boosts dynamic range significantly, particularly in high contrast or on sunny days. It also helps with creative color correction and to match scenes with other cameras, particularly DJI's own drones and action cams. It's easier to adjust than most log modes, so I just leave it on all the time. The large sensor also makes the Pocket 3 much better than before in low light. Normal video mode goes up to ISO 3200, while low light mode ramps that up to ISO 16000, letting you film in very dim rooms. It also cranks up noise reduction at upper ISOs though, so expect some loss of detail. Autofocus can be an issue with larger sensor cameras, but the Pocket 3's Phase Detect AI system is generally reliable. That applies whether you're shooting multiple subjects in FPV mode or using active track or face tracking. One big issue is focus breathing though, as the frame changes substantially when you focus from a far to a near object. If possible, it would be good for DJI to add a breathing compensation feature, as we've seen on Sony and other cameras. With improvements in image quality tracking and other areas, DJI's Osmo Pocket 3 is more versatile than ever. The new sensor puts it on par with high-end compact cameras, and you get incredible optical stabilization with none of the hassle of an external gimbal. It has no major flaws except for the $520 price. For that, you could get Sony's ZV-1F vlogging camera, or for $150 more, Sony's ZV-10 with a much larger sensor. Neither of those can do what the Pocket 3 can do, but then again, the Pocket 3 isn't ideal for portraits, product shots, and other types of content either. The Pocket 2 was embraced mainly as a second camera for grabbing some stabilized shots. The Pocket 3 costs $170 more though, so it's not something you'd pick up on a whim. DJI is no doubt hoping folks will embrace it as a standalone vlogging camera. It can certainly serve that purpose if you really need that stabilization and can afford to pay for it. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe. And for more on technology, check out Engadget.com.